First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hello everyone, we are taking a look at the tropics, Tropical Wave Invest 93L. This is as of the last advisory, which was at 8 a.m. The next update from the National Hurricane Center is coming at 2 p.m. But as of the 8 a.m. advisory, still just a tropical wave. And now that it's moving onshore over Florida, it is not going to organize. That land interaction does not let it become a tropical depression. But perhaps when it moves into the Gulf, it will become one. That's a possibility because as you can see here, over the past several hours, while it was still over the Atlantic waters, it was trying its best to get organized. It did not make it. It still stayed disorganized. We didn't have that closed center of circulation, but now still bringing heavy rain to portions of Florida that we are watching closely. So we'll continue to watch for downpours to move onshore throughout the day today. Now, the National Hurricane Center giving this, as of the last update, a 40% chance of tropical development. So still a medium chance, but some models as of early this morning really showed it getting its act together out there in the Gulf of Mexico. So what would lead to that? Well, we don't have a whole lot of Saharan dust out there right now. And so that would mean that the environment pretty prime. It's not dry. We have the moisture in the atmosphere. So that enhances the tropical development chances. Now, wind shear, it was kicking out there. So it prevented this from developing into a tropical depression this morning. But over the coming days, looks like maybe a little bit more wind shear there out in the Gulf. But if it stays in the northern Gulf, not a whole lot of wind shear. We'll have to watch out for that because that would inhibit a system from forming. It would shear it apart, not let a tropical depression or tropical storm form. So more wind shear, and that's the trend as of this morning compared to yesterday. More wind shear means less likely for something to form. We have our waters that are warm enough, very warm out there in the Gulf, so that will entice that tropical development. So what I'm about to show you is a model, a near-term high-resolution model that this morning, if you joined us on Good Morning Jacksonville, it was showing this thing wrap up tightly and making landfall in Louisiana as a tropical depression, or it looked more likely like a tropical storm. Let me show you the latest model run now. It does not get its act together. So it tries, but you can see it's trying to spin a little bit. It's really just a cluster of showers and thunderstorms, very disorganized. So that's what we're working with here. Models are back and forth with maybe it will form, and then they get really excited and show what would be obviously a tropical storm sometimes. And then they do this and they say not even a tropical depression. It never gets it together. So that's where the National Hurricane Center is saying there's a medium chance, because we need strong model agreement. Not only do we need all the models to start agreeing, but we need consistency from run to run. That the consistency, the separate model runs of just one model agree with each other. That's not happening. So that's why we are not absolutely certain that a tropical depression will form over the Gulf. As I showed you, the conditions are there, and sometimes models say it's all good to go. It will form, and then we get our next update like I'm showing you right now, and it looks nothing like it did before. So again, we will have to watch, wait, and see, but as it moves into the Gulf, it could perhaps start to organize. This system is going to be moving to the west, and so we are not concerned about it here on the First Coast. We were never concerned about it here, and now definitely not. Now that it's moving over land and falling apart, we are not having a tropical depression over us. But again, as it moves out into the Gulf, maybe if it hangs out further south, it could strengthen a bit more. Just depends on where that wind shear is. So what happens is, if it stays over the northern Gulf, it will likely be impacted by land more, and so it would likely be a weak, disorganized system. It kind of has to hit that sweet spot in the middle where if it stays out over those warm Gulf waters and it stays out there long enough, it could feed off of those warm waters and it could organize and it could become a tropical depression or perhaps a tropical storm. We'll also have to watch out for that wind shear though to see what it does. But generally speaking, if it stayed over the Gulf a long time, say it was going to Texas, it could really start to strengthen because it spends a long time over those warm Gulf waters. So what we want for a weak system is for it to hug the coast and interact with land and never be able to actually form and get its act together. But when we look at this model of the atmospheric spin, it shows it sitting in the northern Gulf trying to start to form. But once again, this model too showing what the other one showed, where it's not a perfectly circular system. It's not something that's strengthening rapidly. So we like that trend where it's showing it kind of falling apart. Again, I'm showing you this now because it's all the brand new stuff. But this morning, if you were watching, you looked at the models, you would have thought for certain that there was going to be a tropical depression, even a tropical storm out there. So just again, pressing home the point that model run to model run, everything is different. There's still uncertainty. That is why we still have that 40% chance of tropical development. What is certain is our forecast. We know that whether this forms or not, we're getting some tropical downpours out there today, and they will be very scattered. So today is a weather impact alert day for the risk of heavy rain, tropical downpours, but it's not an all-day rain. In fact, most of your day will be dry. You'll just occasionally see those downpours move onshore, and then that will bring your risk of ponding on the roadways, maybe some blinding rain, and occasionally a thunderstorm that could produce some lightning and gusty winds too. But as you can see here, Weather Prediction Center is saying over the next 5 days, our area seeing maybe around an inch of rain total. Of course, there will be locally higher amounts depending on where those stronger downpours move onshore and pass over. But generally speaking, doesn't look like a washout for our area. Different story for others though in central Florida, like at that Orlando to Tampa, even down towards Fort Myers, heavy rain. It really hugs the Gulf Coast. So that goes up through the Big Bend region, along the Panhandle, to the Alabama and Mississippi beaches, and then of course Louisiana near New Orleans. So it looks like some heavy rain possible, in fact likely for the northern Gulf Coast, but really I'll say northern Gulf Coast and eastern Gulf Coast, which is our west coast here in Florida. But all along that Gulf Coast, there's some heavy rain expected, whether this becomes a system or not. Still, it is an invest, but it's a tropical wave that we are watching that's bringing those heavy tropical downpours to portions of the Gulf Coast. So we'll watch that closely, but again, we will have some tropical downpours. It's just not going to be a washout. We still have part of our area highlighted under a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. So this is from the Weather Prediction Center, and it says that a level 1 out of 4 marginal risk is a low risk, but still a risk for excessive rainfall, which could lead to localized flooding. So it's the same thing that we've been telling you. And that is why we have a weather impact alert in effect today. So it's throughout the day, but again, it's not raining all day. Like outside, a lot of you dry right now. And so we will continue to watch for more rounds of heavy rain to move onshore. Keep an eye on it. You don't want to be on the roads when one of these downpours moves overhead because it is tropical rain, which is blinding rain, which is very hard to drive in. Also, could create some ponding on the roadways, maybe a little bit of localized flooding in those low-lying areas. So we'll be careful to watch out for our flood threat. Here's a look at a future radar throughout the rest of the day today, and it still shows the same story. Downpours, heavier rain to the south and to the west and southwest of us, and then more scattered, isolated showers even as you head up into the southeast Georgia area. So passing showers, downpours, occasionally a thunderstorm. Then on Wednesday, we have another weather impact alert in effect. We still have that tropical moisture interacting with our area, and so we will have heavy rain yet again, but more of those thunderstorms that pop up between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. So while today's weather impact alert goes all day, tomorrow's weather impact alert starts at 2 p.m. and lasts until 8 p.m. for those afternoon and evening thunderstorms that can have heavy rain, localized flood threat, blinding rain threat, but also frequent dangerous lightning, and occasionally the gusty winds too. So make sure to head inside if you hear thunder, please. So again, we'll watch that for our Wednesday, 2 p.m. until 8 p.m., passing showers and downpours and thunderstorms on your Wednesday. So here's a look at our 7-day forecast. Again, today the weather impact alert in effect, tomorrow in the afternoon and evening, 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. Rain chances do not go away. They aren't as high right now. We really have to figure out what happens with this system once it's in the Gulf, whether it's nothing, whether it's a tropical depression or a tropical storm. It will continue to influence our weather, so we'll be able to really nail down our rain chances as we head through the week this week. But still, showers and thunderstorms out there for Thursday and Friday. The heat and humidity not going anywhere. So same story, and when you're outside, stay hydrated, stay cool, take your breaks in the shade and the AC, but keep an eye on the sky because we will have those passing showers and thunderstorms, and you don't want to be outside when those thunderstorms pass through with the heavy rain and the frequent lightning. So if something forms, it will be named Dexter. That is the next name on the list. So if a tropical storm forms, of course, tropical depression does not get a name at first, but tropical storm would. So if it does form, you might hear the word Dexter floating around out there. That is just the next name on the list. But again, right now, only a medium chance of development. So this is as of the 8 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, giving it a 40% chance of development within the next 2 days. That does match the 7 days. All it means is that the National Hurricane Center becoming a little bit more confident in if something is going to form, it's happening in the next couple of days. And again, that system right now moving onshore on the Space Coast, really. And so it's not going to form over land. That's not how that works. The land interaction does not let it get organized. So if it wasn't organized over the Atlantic, it's not going to do it over the land. However, once it moves into the Gulf, then you start to see those ingredients come together. So right now, just a 40% chance of tropical development that we will keep watching out for. So I'm going to actually try to see if I can load something for you all right now. I showed you this earlier. So this is the one model that shows it not organizing well as it moves out into the Gulf of Mexico. Yep, not a whole lot there, but I'm going to try to see if I can show you guys the previous run. Let's see here. It's hard to work off this laptop. Bear with me. Thank you so much for doing so. Oh, no. Jackson, we got a black screen. Hold on, that's my fault. Uh-oh. Give me 1 second, everyone. I just wanted to show you. Aha. Okay. So there we go. This right now shows it coming out into the Gulf. You got those downpours out there. You have a bit of spin. Does it interact with the land? Does it interact with wind shear? Doesn't look great for its formation chances. But if I go back a couple of model runs, I'm just going to show you all the different ones. So here was the last one. You see how that's a lot tighter? It shows something heading for Louisiana. Let me back this up and just show you as it moves out over the Gulf and it starts to wrap up more. And look at that. That's tropical depression becoming a tropical storm. That even has an eye, according to this model run. That's the 6Z model run. So I just wanted to show you that, these models are not agreeing, and that is why it's a medium chance of development, because one model says, yes, landfall, it's happening, it has a name, and then the very next time it says, no, don't worry about it, nothing's going to form. So that is why we have that medium chance of tropical development over our area, which I will pull back up on the screen here in 1 moment. There we go. So that's why we have that 40% chance. But again, we have our next update from the National Hurricane Center coming out at 2 p.m. We'll see how it interacts over Florida, dumps a lot of heavy rain there, keeping a close eye on it. And then it's really just got to move into the Gulf and start to form that center of circulation again, that center that models can pick up on. So then models can start to understand a bit more what's happening with this system. It's possible that past model run had it fall apart because right now it's falling apart a bit as it interacts with land, so it's losing its center, and so models are losing their grip on this system, Invest 93L. But as it moves back out over the Gulf water, warm Gulf waters, it could start to quickly organize yet again. So don't be surprised if we start to see the formation chances go up, if we get a tropical depression, say tomorrow. I think this is going to enter the Gulf late tonight. So throughout the rest of the day today, I'll keep crossing over the peninsula of Florida. And then tomorrow, we'll see it really start to organize over the Gulf tonight or into tomorrow. But for now, still just an invest called 93L. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave you with a look at our tropical graphics. They're looping, so if you want to go back and see any of the graphics I showed you, it'll be playing on repeat now. But thank you so much for joining me for this tropical update. We will be back again later on this afternoon with the newest look at the newest advisory and those new model runs all coming out. So we'll keep a very close eye on it for you. But thanks for joining me for this Talkin Tropics.